Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our conversation on home ownership. So this is that conversation we should be having, which we have said own your home in 2025. Second evening, we're speaking very. Remember, we're speaking specifically to is subject of public home ownership, or public housing, whatever you like to call it. And we made a video this afternoon where we spoke about how you can own your own home with, yes, yeah, how you can own your own home, and we'll definitely be happy to have you in on this conversation. So please, as we usually say, of course, please share and let's have other people join us. Let's share. Let's interact on this particular subject. Let's interact on this particular subject. And again, the goal is home ownership in 2025. And what we're saying is that you can own a home with something in the you can own a home with something in the range of 20 to 30,000 US dollars. And what is 20 to 30,000 US dollars? You do the math, and it's realistic. It's very possible, and you just have to be interested in. You just have to be interested. You just have to be committed, and you can do it. So this is what we're talking about, and we're asking everyone to what degree are they interested in participating in this, because of course the degree of your participation will determine the degree of your holding. Okay, the degree of your holding and what comes out of it. So we have tagged it project in our organization. We've tagged it project project 1000 homes, project 1000, which is a project to develop 1000 homes. Okay. So please invite more people. Good evening. I'm Ditosi. Thank you for joining. We have four of us here. I'll be happy to have us. Again, please, if you are new, if you're just watching, you can, if you're just joining, sorry, you can quickly watch the video that we shared this afternoon. We talked about different building materials, different construction materials, and we said construction can be done in a cheaper. Construction is not necessarily something that you need to break the bank on, and that one of the reasons why homes are expensive in Nigeria is because we we spoke last week about this, and we said we attempt to break the bank on our houses. We attempt to break the bank rather than do what is realistic in terms of the cost of the project. Yeah, $20,000 jam. Yeah, I'd like you to do the conversion, please. 20,000 USD in naira. We did this last week, and we'll do it every time, right? So I'm happy to, but I would like you to do that conversion. It's the reason why I would like us to do the conversion is just so that we can also see this ourselves. So I'll be sharing. Last week I showed us one of our blocks of flats that we have in. It's going to be pungent to me. Where one of our I'll be showing you what we had our conversation about last week, talking about blocks of block of 2-bedroom flats, which one can achieve with that exact amount, 25,000 USD converts. 20,000 USD, which when converted to naira is close to 30 million naira, right? or 32 million naira. It's 32 million naira. So I'll be, where is this video? So we'll have the opportunity to speak, right? But I just want us to see a few things that we shared last week. If you watched the video last week, you would have seen this video. We tagged this $20,000 home, my $20,000 home, and that's really what the project is about. How you can own your own home with that amount of money. Okay, so we'll be. Please give me a second. I'd like to show you. Okay, so let's start with the video. Yeah, so 32 million naira alone can barely get land. So let's start with the pictures we talked about. So we were saying this morning, in this morning's video, if you were here in this morning's video, thank you to everyone who has joined. In this morning's video, you remember we spoke about floor flex tile. We spoke about flooring, and we said you don't have to use ceramic tiles. So I think we'll start with that. We have what we call porcelain tiles, and we have ceramic tiles. Most of us cannot afford ceramic tiles, so we use porcelain tiles. But unless you are in the construction industry, you may not know this. Okay, Senator Nino Lowo, thank you for joining. So most of us, unfortunately, we don't know how to. But what I'm saying, okay, interesting. So what I would 3 requests to join. I would accept you so that we can all speak, but we'll speak at different times. So what we're saying is that, for example, I mentioned that rubber tiles are an alternative. Rubber tiles are a viable alternative to regular porcelain or vitrified floor tiles. Vitrified tiles are basically glazed tiles. So you can have porcelain tiles that are not glazed and porcelain tiles that are glazed. I'm sure those of you who are in construction understand what I just said. But if you're not in construction, don't worry. The simple thing is that we all use tiles, okay? And we are saying that you don't have to use tiles. That's the simple message. You don't have to tile your house. You don't have to use regular floor tiles. I'm showing random pictures here because and we're saying so this is an example. You don't have to tile your house. I hope the image is clear to us. You don't have to tile your house. All you need to do is have alternatives, and that's just one of them. There is a particular, so let me give you a cost. Let me give you costs to this. There is I would like somebody to do the calculation. What will be its finishing? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't have to. There's granule flooring, epoxy, laminates, exactly. So there are different ways. I would like Mr. Homer Nthumeni Aki. Mthumeni, I think you are from South Africa. Thank you for joining. I'd like to invite you to speak on some of your materials you use in South Africa, because I know you don't all use floor tiles, but in Nigeria it is quite common to see floor tiles regular. In fact, almost everybody can tell. I mean, architects, we can tell we are using a 600 by 600 mm. We are using a 900 by 400, 900 by 12, or depending on the dimension, 12 by 12. This is gg.ng, for example. Okay, and we are saying that we don't have. Okay, you said the image is not clear enough. I would zoom. I'll just bring my device closer because I do not currently want to share my screen. You know, switching screens on TikTok is not as convenient as doing it on Zoom and other apps. But what we're saying, welcome to everyone who is just joining. Architect Mohammed Abba, I don't know if this is a bit clearer. I've zoomed the image a bit. So what we're saying basically is that we don't have to use tiles. That's the summary of what I'm saying. That there are different floor materials. And many times in Nigeria we are, I would not say mentally limited, but we are experientially limited. We are limited in our experience of what tiles can be used. And because of that limitation of experience, of what alternatives can be used, that's my problem. Yes, thank you. So, Architect Nthumeni, I think you should I would invite you to speak, but maybe in about 30 minutes, I would just summarize this for us. Nthumeni, I cannot see where to add you to speak. Can you? Okay, I'll follow you back. Can you? add you as a guest right now. I'm inviting you. So I'd like you to just tell us some of your experiences as in terms of construction in South Africa. But what we're saying very simply is that we cannot continue to use the same construction materials and complain that house rent is expensive. We cannot continue to use the same construction materials. Yes, Lady Builder, you are right. Not all porcelain tiles are slippery. So we have the glazed and the not glazed ones. However, generally speaking, as a general rule, we should regularly seek alternatives, right? We should regularly seek alternatives that do not force us into choosing into using things that can put us at risk. Let me just put it that way. All right. So I was saying again that I'm just starting this with tiles. We are going to talk about other materials very quickly, but I'm just talking about tiles. If you watch this morning's video, as a number of you have, and I appreciate you for watching, you would see that I also mentioned windows, and I showed that handrail, that balustrade that the guy did with bamboo. Bamboo is all over. Bamboo is a weed in Nigeria, and treating bamboo is not as difficult as treating normal hardwood, right? I don't know the full process, but I have read about it before, and I know it's not as difficult to process. So why do we not want Lady Builder, maybe we'll speak about this along the line, but I have bought some of these floor tiles and they are significantly cheaper. When I say significantly, as much as 60% to 70% cheaper. Your tiling costs now is around, I think, if depending on your tiler, you'll be using around, for labor alone, per square meters, if it's external tiles, I think it's around 30,000 naira that they take per square meter. I mean, that's for material, inclusive of materials anyway. And for internal, it's a bit lower. So when you are doing 1.5, yeah, that's labor. I'm talking about inclusive of materials and all of that. The materials like your sand that you use to mix and all of that. But my point is that it is cheaper when you are using something like SPC, because all you need is your floor is well blinded, and then you just stack it, right? Your floor is blinded and you stack it directly. There is no need to I don't know if you can see some of the images that are showing. There is no need. Yes, I know there are some rubber tiles that are more expensive. Yes, because they are thicker and they have more durability, in simple terms. But what we are saying is that if you want people to rent houses and pay for 1 year or 2 years, you cannot be changing tiles. You cannot be installing tiles, because there is no room. Block of flats. There is no, let me not say block of flats. There is no room and parlor, for example, as we call it. That's a mini flat, 1 bedroom, 1 parlor in Nigeria, with the toilets and bathrooms that are obviously going to be tiled. That is less than 30 square meters minimum, right? So 30 square meters times 30,000, that's inclusive of materials, or 40,000. And I'm saying this figure because I still did a number today. So this is not a figure that I'm pulling out of the air. This is something that we are working on a project today. I'm going to decide tomorrow. Okay. So if you are spending 40,000 times, or let's even say 38,000, but let's use 40,000 for ease of calculation. 40,000 times 30 square meters is already 1.2 million naira, if my math is still good, right? So there is no way that I will tile my house for 1.2 million just tiling. I've not talked about your ceiling, right? I've not talked about the ceiling. I've not talked about the other elements that will happen, that are involved in the building. Whereas for SPC, you can get SPC itself, costs you, I think, about 4,500. And then let's say you have not done the blinding on your floor, because before tiling you don't blind, right? I know that. So when you do your blinding and smoothing it out before you receive the SPC, of which you can even do it directly without that, just that it will not be smooth, so it has to be done. So you smoothing your floor and all of that, you do that at about 3,000 naira per square meter. Altogether with SPC, you would spend less than, and I'm not saying this because I'm not advertising any brand. No, it's not SPC, sorry, vinyl flooring. SPC is around 20,000. So my QS has corrected me. SPC is less than vitrified tiles or ceramic tiles. Ceramic, as you know, are more, let me just say, they are more costly. So you have vinyl tiles, vinyl floors, and this is vinyl for those who may be wondering. Let me quickly get that picture. I think my screen is clearer now. I hope it is clearer. So this is vinyl. The image is taking a while to load, but I'll share it with us, please. So this is vinyl flooring. You would have seen it in some places before. You would definitely have seen it in some. What is this? For goodness sake! Sorry about this, please. The image is taking time to load, so I'll have to pick it from another source. But if you can see my screen, you'd see the vinyl floor here. And so vinyl is a cheaper option. Renting houses doesn't do with building materials. That no, it's a factor, man, because the cost of construction is a factor in eventual rent. I think don't worry, we'll get to that, man. But I'd like us to. I'm expanding the image just for some of us to see. So this is vinyl flooring. You can see how flexible it is. I don't know if you grew up in Nigeria in the 80s to early 90s, maybe early 2000s up to 2003. Nigerite used to have a material they used to call the floor flex style, the Nigerite floor flex style. Magic S, yes, it is suitable for hostel, and because the only thing is that because of the traffic, it may wear faster. So I would rather you use SPC than vinyl flooring. Okay, so so again, what we are saying is that if you have floored your house with 1.2 million, if you are flooring a 3-bedroom flat which is about 100 square meters, you are not going to spend less than approximately 5 million naira in today's naira on your average floor tile. What that means is that yes, it will start pulling off. SPC vinyl will pull off. I totally agree with that. So vinyl is something you do for extremely low cost finish. I won't call it cheap, but low cost, where you want the person to just have a basic finish, right? That's what you use vinyl or vinyl, whatever you different. Some people call it vinyl, but for ease of understanding, I'm calling it vinyl. So vinyl is easier. I'm looking for the SPC. The image has run away from me again. SPC, on the other hand, is more durable. SPC is thicker and all of that. So sorry about this, please. I'll just show you SPC flooring. So what we're saying is that you need that the cost of these materials impacts the cost that I will put my product on the market. Because if I've already spent 3 million on floor on tiling, if I've already spent another 3 million on ceiling, on finishes, the building itself, perhaps the building, I'm talking about the structural elements of the building, you might find it around roughly, for a 3-bedroom house, roughly 12 million naira if it's a block of flats. But or let's say 15 to 20 million naira actually. Yeah, 15 to 20 million naira. That includes all the basics, including the plumbing and MEP, everything. However, what is more important? Yes, I agree with all of you talking about the pulling out of the. I am not disagreeing. SPC definitely. I mean, what do you call it? Vinyl definitely has a durability issue. But what we are saying, madam, it's not 5%. Materials finishes cost up to 20% of material cost. Land is usually, we analyzed this last week, but maybe we would have to go make another video on that. But finishes significantly affect, because this is one of the reasons why a house will cost you. For example, I was analyzing something just now that a 2-bedroom apartment or 3-bedroom apartment of about 100 square meters will cost you close to, not let me say, roughly 15 to 20 million naira to build. I would say 20 million naira if you are doing excellent work, including the MEP. The MEP, that's the plumbing, the electrical wires and all of that. But by the time you start talking about ceilings, by the time you start talking about the quality of paint, by the time you start talking about the quality of flooring, by the time you start talking about the type of aluminum, the type of your window frame and all of those, you then begin to see the price of your building go up. And what we are saying, what I am proposing to everyone, and what I am saying to us is that, so I'm showing us this image. This is SPC, right? SPC has some thickness to it, whereas vinyl is a bit is flexible, right? So you can see that difference. So I'd like you can Google that on your own. You can Google that on your own, and we will you'll discover some of the differences, right? But I'm going to show you another. So again, I'm not marketing. Let me specifically say I am not marketing for any brand. My goal for us, especially those of us in Nigeria, is how can we reduce the cost of our materials? How can we, especially those of us, I know we have a number of architects in this, and I appreciate you for joining. What I am saying is how can we have affordable homes? That is what I'm saying. How can we have affordable homes? And the only way we can have affordable homes, excuse me please, QS is here, so I would like the QS to speak, but not immediately please. I'll give us the time to speak. I was saying that, so I am not advertising for any brand. I'm being very specific about this so that you know that what we are saying is we want to educate ourselves so that we also educate our customers and say, sir, you don't have to use tiles. I know brands, we all know the biggest Nigerian brand. I'm not going to mention their name. They are along Lagos Ibadan Expressway. They have the largest tile factory. There's another one in Kogi. There's another one. There are 4 major manufacturers of tiles in Nigeria. QS Jamal, can you please mute? There are 4 major tile manufacturers in Nigeria, right? But what we are saying is that rather than using tiles, which add significant, this is a tile, for example, just for the, that's why I'm using my laptop screen so that we can all view this together. What we are saying is that rather than using these tiles, right, which can be slippery and have all of these other disadvantages, why don't we encourage ourselves to use cheaper floor materials? In finishing your house, you mostly spend up to, I have worked on a couple of projects over the last almost 10 years or more of my practice, and I can tell you that finishes take almost, or up to, maybe not totally, maybe not in total, but almost up to 20 to 30% of the final thing. And when I say finishes, I may have to mute some of us because I think I can hear some sounds and they may be distracting some other people. So I would like our guests to please mute their mics. I will definitely give all of us a chance to speak. I will stop speaking very soon. I don't want to focus on floors, but somehow I have gotten stuck with floor. If you watched the video this morning, so I'll quickly reference the video again, and I'll say if you watched the video this morning, you would see that we talked about using, if you remember this very well, if you lived in Nigeria, if you were not born abroad, if you lived in Nigeria in the 80s to 90s and early 2000s, but mainly the 90s, people still used to build with wood. Their handrails, of course, a lot of people eventually changed their handrails to steel at some point. I'm not talking about handrails that are exposed to the elements outside. I'm talking about within the house, in the stairwell, like the one I showed in that video this morning. That particular stairwell is in Yaba, right? And we're saying that you can, that it's a wooden handrail, and we're saying that you can make your handrails with wood, bamboo, in Nigeria, and you can save cost in doing that because it's not going to cost you the same. I imported something on behalf of a customer recently. We spent almost $7,000 for just a particular type of handrail that the person was going to import. So if this person was building this house to rent, of course this was his private house, so he could afford it. It's something he was able to afford. But if he was going to spend this money, if he was going to rent this house, so this is similar to what I showed us this morning, but this is not exactly it. Okay, and this can happen in commercial buildings. So if you want, we'll talk about it. This can also be done in commercial buildings. Okay. Excuse me. So what we're saying, and I will wrap up shortly so that we'll have every other person speak. I'll give us please 5 minutes so that we can have a lot of people speak to these issues. But what I want to say is that if you remember those old houses, they also used to have these kinds of things, and these elements used to do a lot of cost saving. We are not in a rich country. We have to remind ourselves. Sometimes we're always under delusion. You may be financially privileged. Yes, some of us have financial privileges, but the average Nigerian who is your customer is not financially privileged. And if we are not building for the average Nigerian and you are hoping for somebody to do money laundering and buy your house 200 million, buy your house 1 billion naira, congratulations to you, but you have less than 0.01%, which is why they call it the 1% of the 1%, right? You have less than 0.01% of Nigerians as your market. But if you want to touch 20 to 35% and you want to be like MTN or Dangote or Airtel or who else, anybody doing mass market, you have to think of how to bring the cost down. That is the summary of my message. I have talked about flooring extensively. I am showing you something about using wood for handrails and balusters. I'll be open to listening to listen to others, but before I do that, I'll just speak to. Okay, QS Jamal, please. QS Jamal said he will watch the video and he will be back. Two different building finishing. Yes, so Mrs. Lady Builder, I mean Miss, I want to mention, I don't know if I have the permission, but Lady Builder, I would explain that to you. Yes, so hardwood is better for safety. No, all I'm saying is that there are solutions. I'm not saying we must. As a matter of fact, what I want to hear in this conversation is, oh, Snag Inspector, just as you said, I prefer hardwood because bamboo may not achieve a particular level of strength. Although I can tell you bamboo is significantly strong, but I am very, very interested in hearing alternatives, and I'm really happy we have a quantity surveyor here because I want to hear the quantity surveyor's view on this issue in particular. So I would allow Clef Joe gave me some brilliant ideas last week and I researched it, and I will let you know that we have a project we are working on, and it is this project that has inspired some of these things, because I am tired of seeing houses that nobody can afford. Let me not say nobody, that very few people can afford. I am tired of seeing 80 million is even fair. I'm tired of seeing 100, 200, 500 million houses. How many people can afford it? If your job is to, if you are a developer and you are praying that somebody will steal government money to come and buy your house, or somebody will do money laundering and come and buy your house. I'm not saying that everybody who buys billionaire houses are thieves. No, I know not all of them are thieves. What I'm saying is that, okay, thank you, Ntumechi. So I think I'll allow her to speak first. Her or him, I don't know. I've not met you in person, but I would allow you to speak, and then developers will increase price because houses are not many. So what we are saying is that when you reduce the cost of building a house, then you can build more. Let us say as a developer, you have 100 million. Which one is better? Building 5 blocks or 5 flats with that 100 million, 4 flats is more realistic with that 100 million, or building one duplex for somebody to buy. Hope you get my point. My point is that how can we bring that price down? I have a project. I have told you my company has a project in partnership with Rainy Day Cooperative Society, and we are still doing due diligence like we said last week, and we'll continue. If it takes us 1 year, we'll do. I will not advertise anything that I have not finalized and gotten the governor to sign on. I mean, the approval authorities to sign on. And so what we are saying is that we are looking at that project and we are saying we started our pricing at a particular amount, and we said no, we have to bring the price down. And bringing the price down is not reducing the amount of concrete. Instead of using 124, you change your concrete mix. No, you have to use those standards because those are the standards. Reducing the price is not that you want to reduce the quality of your foundation. Oh, I'm not going to use raft. No, that is not how you are going to do it. What you are going to do is that you will look at what element is appealing to people, and is non-structural, is functional, but can be alternated. And that is why I'm talking about alternative flooring, alternative doors. Rather than using steel doors, use wooden doors, alternative flooring, alternative doors, alternative ceilings, alternative window materials. Those components cost a lot. The average window in Nigeria, 1.2 by 1.2 today, will not cost you less than 180,000 to 250,000 naira, depending on whether it's EBM or Tower or the other company. So how can I bring that window cost to 80,000 or 90,000 so that I can have proper big windows so that people will breathe? Let the poor breathe, like you people voted say, let the poor breathe. So what we are saying, what happened to my camera, to the screen? Sorry. So let the poor breathe. How can we allow people to? My system is Sir, my system. I have to sign in. Sorry. So what I was saying is, how can we achieve affordable housing? I've said enough. It's time to hear from the rest of you. So, Clef Joe, I think I would allow you to speak first, sir.
Snag Inspector, please let me just pass the mic. I'm in traffic now, so there'll be lots of interference, and network is not so good. So I would like to just pass and maybe someone else to speak. Once I get home, then I will signal to you.
All right, thank you very much, sir. I will be happy to have you when you're done. I will be happy to have you when you're done. Detosi, can you speak right now? Are you available to speak? Detosi is
Oh,
not
no,
I don't know if he's not available.
yeah,
Okay. Okay, so you can proceed, sir.
yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay. Actually, you can go on. I'm just joining for the first time.
Okay, okay. So let me ask you a couple of questions. Since you say you are joining for the first time, some of our guests that have left. I really want Nthumeni to speak, but Nthumeni is seems maybe is not available or something. But I'll just speak very briefly to I'll just briefly tell you what ask you a question. Do you think that the average Nigerian would the average Nigerian rent a house if he has the money that doesn't have POP ceiling and tiled floors? Let me just ask you that simple question. If he has the money, I'm not saying person don't get money, but if he has the money, would the average Nigerian rent a house or buy a house that doesn't have tiling and POP ceiling?
For me, I think most customers are they will still complain about the price, but they will still reject maybe your house is cheaper for some reason. They will still tell you that your house didn't have this one, the one I met here have this one or something. So
Uh,
I think it will be difficult.
exactly.
It will be difficult. But
So,
unless the person is buying it as carcass,
and then he's finishing it to his own taste. All right.
he can just do whatever he wants. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very, very much for that. Thank you so much. So,
Well,
I would like Nsumeni to speak. I hope I pronounced your name properly. Nsumeni is an architect in Polokwane, if I'm not mistaken. And he dropped a comment. Okay, as I don't know if he's still available to speak. I really would like to just have your experience. If you are, I think you are trying to join us. Good evening.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you. So, good evening, architect. I just want you in maybe 2 to 3 minutes to just share with us some of the material. I mean, you watched the video and I read your comments and we interacted briefly. I'd just like to share some of the alternatives you use and how it works in South Africa regarding materials, because I know you people are big on public housing. I think you are the only country in Africa that has done up to 1 million housing units in less than 5 years. If I remember very
Yeah,
well. So
that's true.
I'd like to hear
Yeah,
some
that's
of
very
the
true.
experience. Yes. So you can just do that in 2 to 5 minutes. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I
Am I?
mistakenly
Am,
muted. Yes, I mistakenly muted you. I was going to mute myself. Sorry about that. You can go ahead.
oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, with us, in terms of material, most of the material that we use, like you said, porcelain, it's very famous everywhere. We also use it, but most of the materials that here in South Africa we use are mostly manufactured locally. So you find that you will be having your porcelain, there are different ones, the slippery and the non-slippery. And then there's your ceramic, which is my favorite. It's cheaper and it differs in
So,
sizes.
sorry. Can you perhaps adjust? We can't. I can't seem to hear you well, and I think some people can't hear you well too. I don't know. Maybe you're a
I
bit
don't know.
far from
This is
your
my
mic.
first time.
No, don't worry. Just
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
was a
I
bit
just want
far.
you
This
to
is
be a
my.
bit more audible. Yeah,
Oh yeah. Can you hear me now?
very clear. Please proceed.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. With material, there is some of the material one can use. It's porcelain. Porcelain, like you said, there are different types, but my favorite is ceramic, which is way cheaper compared to porcelain, which is way cheaper compared to porcelain. And the the advantage it comes with in different sizes. There is the one that looks like stone. There are shiny ones and all that. There's also your PVC vinyl, which is there's two types of vinyl. There's your industrial wise, which you can use it in more of your industrial where there's a lot of traffic, and there's a cheaper one, laminate timber flooring, which it tends to tear up when there's a lot of traffic. And the other one that I prefer is epoxy and your grano. Epoxy is a bit cheaper compared to grano. Grano it's a bit expensive. Your terracotta a bit expensive. Um, those are the types of flooring one can use if you are building something, especially if let's just say it's for renting out because there will be people coming in and problem are tenants that I wouldn't do something too expensive if I'm gonna put tenants. I'm gonna do something which is cheap, but I have to get proper tradesperson who know their job, who will do a proper work and will be inspected, and I know they're gonna give me a proper finishes. And I liked the example that you talked about, the handrail thing, the bamboo. It was my first time seeing it, and I feel like it's just that with us, I've seen it everywhere. With us black people, we kind of look to the Western way, and we think all of us have to be doing glass and rail, your steel shining, but the bamboo one is very natural. I really liked it. I really liked it. I really liked it. Yeah, there's a little input I can share with you guys. Yeah, anything else? Yeah, you can ask.
All right. Thank
Hello.
you very much for that. It was very concise and brief. Someone asked a question and I'd like you to answer. Mrs. O is asking, can epoxy be used indoors? I do know the answer, but I'd also like you to share. Have you seen it being used in maybe living rooms and places like that? You know, those, how do we call it in architecture? Semi-private spaces. Do you consider it something you use indoor other than parking lot?
Yeah, with us, I normally use it for indoors epoxy. I prefer to use it for indoors. It's very nice indoors. Here, especially if you go to lodges, and I've never seen it in rentals. And rentals, mostly it's in rental spaces, mostly it's your ceramic. Many people prefer to use ceramic. In lodges, expensive house, that's where you're gonna see a lot of epoxy, your polished concrete, your terra suit, uh, yeah, your stone, nicely laid stone. Those are the type you're gonna see in your expensive houses here in South Africa. But for your rentals, it's ceramics, you see, and also yeah, it's your ceramics. It's your ceramic. That's where you're gonna see it. Yeah, yeah, and what else? Your your concrete. I don't know. I haven't seen. I don't know if it's big that side. Here in South Africa, we have four seasons. So in winter it's cold. We have like what I know about Nigeria is like you guys have two seasons. We have four seasons. And the problem with what that I have with here in South Africa is that the concrete, most of it's not heated, so it tends to become cold. It tends to become cold during winter, and our houses here in the southern part, most of them are not well insulated like the ones in Europe. So you find the house also it's cold. Your flooring also is cold. The whole house is cold, 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 cold. But in the summertime, where something that I've noticed with us here in South Africa, we love big windows, and something that I've noticed in Nigeria, it's most of you guys design with small windows. Here, we try to incorporate big windows, your big sliding doors, your aluminum sliding doors, your big like we try to bring as much light and to the house. When we're doing that, we are minimizing the cost of many bricks. But as you know, aluminium and glass is expensive. So yeah, those are the other things that I've noticed. I
So
don't know
sorry to
what
cut you
other
in. Sorry,
question.
sorry to interrupt you. I really am sorry. I want to interrupt you. You mentioned one element that I someone spoke. One of our colleagues, one of our architects spoke about this last week on our space because we hold this every Friday, and I'd just like you to speak to it. Aluminium and glass is expensive. What is an alternative that can save us 30%? Maybe something that you use commonly in South Africa, because I know I was trained by someone who worked in South Africa and story, but I know that there is a connection between these building materials we use to a large extent. In fact, some of our machines, we get them from South Africa. So is there any material you use as an alternative to aluminium and glass? Because that is one of the reasons why Nigerians use small windows. In fact, that's the main reason why our developers use small windows, because we used to have big windows. Then the cost of windows are right now you need equivalent of around $500 to no, that not about $250, yes, for one window in a house. How can we cut that cost? What alternative materials do you people use that you think we cannot explore?
Okay, on the material one, yeah, that one is very tricky. Here now there's a new trend of plastic windows, which we have PVC framing. They're very expensive. Uh, Aluminium, like here in South Africa, we have lots of mine. It's also mined here, but some of it's mainly imported from China. So the one that is mined here in South Africa, it's top quality, but the problem there's a lot of cheap which is important from China. So most of the aluminium that is being used here in South Africa is imported from China. So aluminium here in South Africa, like in also in Nigeria, it's very expensive. But in terms of maintenance, for me, aluminium is the best way. But the problem is the cost. But in terms of maintenance, aluminum is the best. The steel, now there's a new trend where there are guys who are steel fabricator who are doing a steel which looks like aluminum. But the problem with steel, as you know, if you're gonna use steel, we're gonna have putty and you need to paint it. After 3 to 4 years, you have to maintain it. But with aluminium, there's no maintenance. That's why it's best. With wood, also, there's some people prefer wood, but other problem with wood here in South Africa is cheap. But even though it's very cheap, the problem with wood, every 5 years, you have to varnish it. You have to be vanishing it. And then it then becomes expensive because also that paint every 5 years, it's not going down. It's increasing. Inflation is rising. The now aluminum, even though it's expensive, but in the long run, it's the best. It's just that we didn't have another alternative. For now, I will just feel um, aluminum is the best. Normally, here, if you are buying straight from your hardwares, aluminum is cheap. normally your window, which is like your 1800 by 1800 by 1.5, it's usually it's 2000 rand, which is like 100 US dollars. I don't know how much is it in naira. So those are ranges. If you're gonna use aluminum, make sure you are using your standard here in South Africa. You make sure you're using your standard measurement of windows, because those type of those windows, you can go to your hardware store and you purchase it. Then when you use the non-standard windows, then a fabricator has to make them, and then when a fabricator makes your aluminum, it then becomes expensive, way too expensive. And also depending on the glazing, how many thickness are you going to use? Are you going to use double glazing? Is it 6 meters? Does it have a safety glass? Because when here in South Africa, it's the law state that if you're gonna use anything which is more than 1 meter, like a glass which is more than 1 meter, it has to have safety glass, so that if someone throws a window, it's protected. Those are the things that comes with your aluminium. That's why I prefer it, but it's expensive, and it just needs you. If you are designing or developing a house, you need to know, okay, I'm developing this house. What type of standard windows am I going to use and how much are they? And then with flooring, I would prefer your ceramic. Okay. Your tradesperson, they need to be on point. Something that I've seen with Nigerian, I follow a lot of Nigerian developers and seen, but something that I've noticed is the trade people sometimes when they're cleaning or they don't clean to that point, it's not about design. If you're constructing a house and then every day after work, clean, 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 so that when a client or someone comes, even if it's ugly or what, when you come to a site and you find it clean, I'm telling you, it changes everyone's mind.
Yes, I totally can relate with what you've said. I've probably made a video about that before, talking about painting, smearing all over the work, and all of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank
yeah.
you, thank you very
It's
much.
not only in Nigeria, also, yes.
You wanted to say something. You can just say that.
Oh, the smearing of painting on the glass, it's everywhere. I've noticed that as Africans, that's something that we need to work on. After uh, uh, a hard day of labor, clean, 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 clean for 1 minute, or Fridays we clean, clean, clean. Yeah, and then it's a good to go.
Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate. And I don't know if you can read the comments. Okay, Mrs. O. I wanted Mrs. O to speak very briefly because but she has had to leave for a meeting. But thank you very much, Mr. Anthony. Hope I got the pronunciation correctly. I hope I
No,
did.
it's you did, my guy. You did very well.
All right. I hope I'll learn better. Thank you very, very much. Mr.
No, thank you.
Eniobanke, King Eniobanke, can you send, I can't invite you. I don't know why. But I would love, okay, Mrs. O, if you can, I can invite you again and I would like you to speak. Mrs. O, I think I've seen you in my comments a number of times, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Eniobanki, I can't add you. And I just want us to speak to it because our brother has raised something very important. Clevejoy is also back, so I would invite the two of you. Our brother has raised some important points, and I just want us to, again, you notice that he mentioned a wide variety. And one of the things that I'd like to say before I have the rest of us speak is that it's important if you notice what he said, he mentioned a wide range. And I think it's very important for us to also start thinking that we cannot all like they say, we cannot all sleep and face the same direction. Everybody's house, we can't have everybody's house with floor tiles. And I know epoxy, I've seen houses that have epoxy kitchens in Lagos and I think Abuja before. I've seen houses that have ceramic, I mean pure clay tiles, especially in our federal secondary schools and universities. So these are things that we can do, and I really like and I'm really happy about the contributions of our brother Mr. Nthumeni. So I'd like Miss O is not. I don't know if it's a network issue. She asked me to add her. Mr. Clef Joe as well. I can't see you. Okay, I can see you now, Clef Joe. So I've accepted Clef Joe, and Mr. and Rainy Day would also be speaking now. So Clef Joe, you have the floor, sir. Okay, I don't know if it's a network issue. I would maybe while the network connects, I would like King Enyo Banke to quickly speak while Clef Joe. I don't know why there's a network glitch right now. So King Enyo Banke, you can quickly speak and just your experiences, what materials you recommend. I mean, so let's make it brief, but let's give us alternatives because yeah, I
Okay.
think we should be moving in that direction.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Good evening, Snag Inspector. Good evening, everyone. Yeah. To me, I feel if epoxy is a little bit cheaper, I think I've seen it in few houses in Nigeria. I think I've seen it around the corridor also. And only that, even with epoxy, they still need to do some maintenance after a while. So I've seen it peel, I've seen it being used. I've seen it in some places whereby as time goes on, they started peeling off the floor. Maybe they didn't do it properly, I don't know, because I'm not an expert in that area. But one thing is, when you look at the cost of maintenance on the long run, it will still fall back to the same thing that we're trying to run away from. So to me, I still feel if we can still manage the tiling in Nigeria currently, because one thing is when people start going into a particular trade, we know Nigerians when they are epoxy is the new thing now. Everybody jump into epoxy, and before you know, you start having quack
The
doing the
same
same
issue.
thing.
Yes, exactly.
So before you know it, now the thing that you're trying to run away from, on the long run, you started paying more just to get it done. So to me, I still feel it's something like few years ago, there were some houses around I think after Mega Chicken towards Chevron. There's one road there, I forgot the name. Back end of the road, there's one house some years back that one of my engineer built. So they use PVC. I was telling this man, I said, sir, please don't use PVC. I said, it's because me, I want to collect my money now. Yeah, I'm a window installer. So I said, it's because you want to collect your money now, Abi. That's why you tell me not to do this or something like that. So, okay, fine. They bought the window from China, it's PVC. So we did the installation. I think 5 years down the line, the window start falling off. Why are the window falling off? Because the maintenance on this window, our harsh climate, assuming it's in the office now, I might say, they might still use it for a while. But our climate is very harsh. Before you know, it will start turning to biscuits. They start falling off. So if you go to the house now, almost all the window have been changed to aluminum. So on the long run, cutting the cost. You still have to pay the price. So there are some alternative materials that we can go for. If for windows now, let's look at casement window. Casement window is expensive. So why do you want to use it? Why not go for a sliding window? Sliding window is not as expensive as a casement window. If you are trying to cut cost, you can go for a 2-panel sliding window with a permanent net at the back. You cut the cost, and you can have it as big as you want. But now, somebody who is trying to build on budget still want, please give me the EBM window. I want it soundproof. I want this, I want that. I want the glass to be tempered. You can't have it all. So cutting cost, we have other alternatives that people can go for. Just like I said now, the sliding window. 2-panel sliding window with a net at the back. That is cheap enough.
Thank you very much. You raised something which is similar to what Mr. Meniotu said, and for me, my question now is what there are materials we cannot compromise, right? But there are qualities that we need. Number one quality, air quality. We don't have 4 seasons. We don't have winter in Nigeria, like our brother said. they have winter in the southernmost part of Africa and in the northernmost part of Africa. We are in the tropics. The sun is overhead, like they taught us in geography, all through the year, right? So the sun is always hot, and it is always, so you need airflow, you need wind. When we use sliding window, we know mathematically we only get 50% of airflow. So people are talking about bringing back louvers, but bringing back louvers that are framed so that those edges don't cut us, because obviously that is a hazard. So that edge, that blade edge, is going to be taped with a form of PVC. I've seen some pictures, but I don't want to go too much into it. I'm just asking, is this something you as a window installer have researched into? If it
I've
isn't,
made research on something similar to that. I think I've seen something in Benin Republic, because I normally travel down to Benin Republic, and to be honest with you, there are some things that you talked about that I feel like someday I will still come on this live to come and talk about. Basically, when it comes to what is our burglaries, but I don't want to like go deeper into that right now. So I've seen the material. Instead of having a glass as the louvers, it is something that look like aluminum composite panel. It looks like an aluminum composite panel, though I can't go into the property because I was not granted the permission, but I was looking at it from afar, and I think it's something that look like an aluminum composite panel. So if we can still have something in that direction, but mind you, aluminum composite panel is expensive. So the cost, we are still not cutting the cost.
but would it give us okay, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't know you
But
go ahead.
looking at the what you said about a sliding window, yeah, I get it that we are still going to get like 50% of the hair. But instead of having a 600 by maybe 1200 window in a room, if you have a 1500 by 1200 window in a room, and you open it on one side, you will still get more hair than having a 600 by 1200 window. At least you have a 750 by 1200 space, uninterrupted, if it's divided by 2. So I go to all this. If you travel down to somewhere like Benin Republic, it is very hard to see one single casement window over there. Why? Because it's expensive. Even a sliding window over there is expensive. Despite the fact that
Yes.
they're not even doing our own kind of system. You know, their own system is different because their own profile, Ghana profile, is different, and it's more expensive than our own regular generics that we are using. Sure, you get. So looking at it that way, because to be honest with you, most of us in Nigeria now, whenever we want to rent an apartment or something, we prefer going for the old houses than the new ones. I mean, I can't be in my
Actually,
house. I'm the running fuel to power my AC every day. If you look
exactly.
at these old houses, the way they were built, my God, the efficiency of those old houses compared to the new ones where we have technology to even tell us what we don't know now, you'll be shocked. You know, so looking at it, if you look at some of these old houses, they have the sliding window, but when you look at the size, they have like 1.8 by 1.2. They don't go for the small one. So
All right.
imagine
Thank
having
you.
1.8 by 1.2 sliding window, compare the price to a 1.8 by 1.2 casement window. That's way bigger than each other, but still. So if we are trying to like go for something like louvers, I've seen different mechanisms compared to what we have been using, the old ones. The new ones now are way better. They use it in the Republic, I've seen it. But still, looking at the cost of the alcohol board is not cheap. A sheet of alcohol board costs about, I think, 40 something thousand naira. I think a sheet. So, but looking at the glass, there's a way that they can dull the glass. There's Irish dulling, there's beveling, there's different kind of dulling finishing that they can use that will prevent it from cutting. But you know, when you use a louvers for a house that you're calling modern in Nigeria, people will start
They will
looking
run
at it
away,
like
right?
they will run away from it
This,
now.
this,
What kind
this
of
is a
a house
modern
is this
profile.
one? Yes, now
So this
in
is
this
a modern profile. For example, look at this. I don't know if we can see it very well. This edge it's not, the glass is not direct. Like you are not touching the glass. But what he is saying, I'm just trying to explain what you are saying for those who may not understand. I understand what you are saying as an architect, but I'm just explaining to people that this edge you are talking about now is not alco bond. That's aluminum composite profile, and that would also significantly affect the cost, right?
To affect the cost. If it will
Yes.
affect the cost. And one thing,
Okay.
few days ago, I was researching something, is it Bright Soleil or something? The way
Bridge
they
Soleil.
build the
Yeah.
Brice Soleil, thank you, Brice Soleil.
Yes.
I was following this guy from India, where this guy showed a particular place in India where all the house face a particular side.
Direction.
I think
Yes.
I think it's
I
the
would
north,
like.
a particular direction. I think it's the north or something. And why?
Yes.
Because of the direction of the sun, trying to protect the house,
Yes.
the sun from
It's
getting
a
into the
it's a
house. So
principle of passive ventilation. Yeah.
and they introduced something, the Bright Soleil. They introduced them. I was like, why are we not doing this in Nigeria? Then I started researching Nigeria, and I found out that we have some buildings, like maybe some universities in Nigeria that actually did that.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's very common in the old federal universities.
Old
Very common.
federal universities.
Yeah.
If I didn't do that research, I would probably be among those people that would be saying we don't have it in Nigeria. But I did the research, and I was like, why did we stop doing all this? And we started going for the European and American style of building. They are not for our climate at all.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. I would we've taken more than 5 minutes, but I really appreciate you, sir. I would like Cleve Joe, Lady Builder would speak after Cleve Joe. Then I would like to also then have a few things to say. Then we have Rainy Day Cooperative speak as well. So Cleve Joe, you have the floor, sir. Can't hear you, sir.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, we can hear you clearly now.
Is it better now?
Yes, much better, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear
Hello?
you, sir. We can hear you, sir. I don't know if you can hear me, but we can
Okay,
hear you,
all
sir.
right, cool.
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you. There's just a slight delay. So yeah, but I can hear you. So you see, this thing that you talked about, the first house I built. Now I'm not an architect. I'm not even, I'm not an architect. I'm far from it. But the first house I built, I did a lot of research because I didn't have a lot of money then. And when you don't have money, you have to be creative. And what I wanted to achieve with the house was a very functional house, something that was going to serve my purpose, and something that was energy efficient. So I wanted to build a house that, by itself, the house doesn't use a lot of electricity. And so I look at the principle of what we call base principle, which is, what do I want to achieve in this house? Okay, I want light. How do I go about that? So we say, okay, let's have windows everywhere. So that provides natural light. So I know that the only light I'm going to be powering is in the evening. So in the afternoon, everywhere is lit up. So, okay, I want ventilation. How do I achieve ventilation? I did some research on this house. Now, I was very directly involved in the house, the design, the everything, just a modest 2-bedroom apartment. So it was a very simple bungalow and all of that. So I was very involved in it. So I said, okay, ventilation. Besides having cross ventilation, one of the things I did was attic venting. That is the roof. That's the space between you. I don't know if it's attic they call it. The space between your roof and your ceiling. So if you look at some of the old houses we have in Nigeria, if you go to old cities, you will see that when you look at the roof, especially gabled roof, there's always this kind of hole. Sometimes they use like some kind of Islamic inscription. Sometimes it's like just a hole. Those holes are there to provide ventilation, to ensure that the heat that has been built up from the roof, because the roof is the hottest part of the house, that heat has an escape path, can escape, and in essence, the heat is not coming down from the ceiling, maybe through your manhole down to the house, radiating the house. So you give room for that heat to escape. I did that in the house, so we had it there. Of course, I didn't care what people have to say. The direction of the house was actually facing in such a way where the living spaces, that is the living room, the rooms, were away from the east and the west. And the reason is, if you want to take a nap in the afternoon, you don't have this kind of situation where the sun is glaring at you at an angle, because when the sun rises, we are very close to the equator. So when during in the morning and in the afternoon, you always see sun hitting you directly at an angle. And if you have your window, you can have a kind of situation where the sun is just hitting you from that angle. So that was where we positioned the house. Of course, I didn't use steep roof like a lot of people do. Everybody in the area then were using steep roof. I said, no, I don't want my roof to be steep. And the reason there is that I was going to be using solar. Now, this house, I was able to build a house. I lived in this house. My family lived in the house. I was able to power the house with just 1.8 kilowatts of solar energy and 2 batteries. And that was all we had. We had a small generator that we used to pump water, because the inverter couldn't pump water. But everything, that house ran off grid. We ran off grid. And I stayed in that house for like close to 2 years. And everything was very convenient for me. The way we built that house, it was very cheap too. We built the house. How much did I even spend to build the house? This was 2017, 2018. I built the house. I'm not even sure everything I spent was close to 5 million or 6 million or so, right? And I was even cheated. That's including, losses from that. So I feel I was going to use loofahs for that house, because I'm a big fan of loofahs. I was going to use loofahs, but at that point, people just tied me down. They said, nah, bro, so we can't allow you to use loofahs. They were going to, they probably were going to beat me up or something. So they did. In fact, I got to Day Day Market, which is a popular building materials market. The reason why I didn't buy it was because I realized that ever since loofahs went down the pecking order in terms of what people like, you rarely see quality loofahs in the market. So it's just seen as something that's, very low budget. So you don't see quality loafers. And if I was going to bring them in, maybe through AliExpress or Alibaba, it was going to be astronomically expensive. I feel we need to bring loafers back. It's just the best windowing system for tropical environment. Beside the fact that loafers let in over 90% of the air, there's also the issue of privacy. If you are staying in a bungalow and you are not using loafers, it's going to, in fact, the essence of your window is you're just deceiving yourself, because you either have to choose privacy, because even when you open your window, your curtain has to be down, because you don't want people to be seen inside of your house. So that's your ventilation gone. But with loafers, you can tilt your window, frost part of the loafer's window, right? And then leave the top one open, and then tilt it in such an angle where people can't see you, but breeze can come in. Also, when it rains, none of the windowing system can be opened when it rains in Nigeria. None of them, not sliding, not casement, none of them. Once it's rained, you have to close your window. But with loafers, you can always tilt your window in such a way where the rain will cascade, but the breeze can come through. Now, one of the most unfortunate things was because we felt like we were too cool to use loafers. I feel if you go to Trinidad and Tobago, the Caribbean, if you go to Southeast Asia, Philippines, India, they have used the modern improvement of loafers. That horror story loafers we have in our head, an improvement has been made. Now, the thing is this, bringing those improvements to Nigeria is going to be and I think these are things we need to consider. Sometimes we have good ideas, sometimes we have great ideas, we want to cut costs, but we also have to look at the cost of installation, the cost of ownership, the cost of even getting somebody who is like an expert, cost of support, cost of over the next 10 years. I'm actually building a house.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. I just want to support your point.
Okay.
I just want to support your point about cost of installation, getting the artisans that actually know the work. Because I have spent the last two weeks fighting everybody on site.
Yes.
I'm even tired. So I just want to support your point. Sorry to interrupt you, but I know if I ask everybody here, they would also say the same, that it's like artisans don't know anything anymore.
I don't know.
You can go ahead, sir. I just wanted to support you.
I don't know if you guys remember this brick. There was a time that this brick was quite popular. There was this company that brought this brick, hydraulically compressed brick, to Nigeria. The idea that you could replace natural block with this kind of brick that you set up like Lego. They call it hydroform. It used to be quite, they used to do a lot of art then. I'm sure a lot of architects will probably know about them. The concept is that you get laterite, add a little bit of cement, and then you compress them together through an hydraulic compress. And then it will form a brick, and then you can use this brick to build your house. You just set it up, and it's very, 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 very good and all that. I was going to build this house I told you with hydroform, but I could not find somebody who was expert enough to be able to do it. And I didn't want to start and then get stuck, because the only person that can do it, right, just leave site and you're at his mercy. So at the end of the day, I just have to default back to, so sometimes some of these ideas might be nice. I think we should look for something practical. We are talking about flooring. Tiles is like a spectrum. You can get very good tiles. They are not so expensive. You can get BN tiles. You can get about, they have a very good shelf life. So we have to also, that's where it brings into cost of ownership. The cost of ownership, the current house I'm building right now, the question I ask myself when I want to use a material is, will it last me in the next 10, 20 years? Because I don't want to say when I'm now retired, that's when you're now going to be carrying out expensive maintenance. I don't have time for that. So I think it's very important. There must be that middle ground between getting something that has good cost of ownership, right? But also it's not so expensive. So we need to find that nexus. But most importantly, we need to look at the situation of Nigeria. We have water challenges. We have power challenges. So let's build a house that uses as little electricity as possible. Let's build a house that harvests rainwater, if possible. In places like Benin, harvesting rainwater is a thing. So we need to see how we can build our houses, use our ingenuity. This is where the Soviets, I talked about the Soviets and their commie blocks. This is where they were able to say, okay, we don't have much money, but what can we do to be able to arrive at something? And it will take quite a number of research. It will take, like we talked about bamboo. If you look at Southeast Asia, they use bamboo a lot. They use bamboo a lot in their construction because they realize that it's very flexible. And they use it especially in earthquake-prone areas. So bamboo is used because of the flexibility, unlike brick. So I think we really need to see how we can think out of the box, see what works for us, see how we can use what's available in our natural environment, but also have a base principle approach to building. What are we trying to solve, right? How do we go about solving them? How do we go about solving it in a very, very low cost, but in a way that also has a long-lasting effect over the years? Planting trees, for example. If you're trying to build this stuff that you're talking about, there must be a plan to have trees everywhere, as many places as possible, so that we know that those will reduce the average temperature of the area. So those are some of the things I just want to bring up from my own experience, and I feel like everybody has said good stuff. So yeah, let me drop the mic now.
I appreciate you so much, sir. I just want to say on a humorous note that if Snag Inspector builds and there is no tree there, you will hang me, say you are claiming that something and then you have no trees. So in fact, anyway, I will talk about it when we get the approval, but we are still working on layout, and right now there are no trees in the area, and someone is saying we should cut down some trees. I said no, I cannot cut down any tree because already the trees are not enough. We are thinking of how to plant more. You are telling me to cut down, but of course we'll reach a compromise, and I think the rule is usually 20% should go for vegetation and trees and all of those things. So definitely we appreciate you so much. Trees are very important, and someone said, and like you had both said, yourself and King Eniobanke said, the direction of the orientation of the site is very, very important. Orienting the building, what they teach us in architecture school is the longer sides should be on the northwest and south, northeast and southwest, which will capture the wind, because the wind flows usually northeast in the first half of the year and southeast the other half of, what am I saying? Southwest and northeast, sorry. So you orient the longer sides of your buildings with good windows like actually there's another type of window, but it's very expensive. That's the hinged windows. We call them hung windows, hinged windows, those pivoted windows, those windows that come out that we use in halls and large locations. So those windows that are similar to louvers in their technical operations, those are very important. I will have lady builder, sorry. There's also a lady architect in my but that one's on Instagram. So lady builder, I'll have you speak, but I just want to quickly mention that so orientation of the building is very critical. Planting trees, very critical. And then of course, like you've all said, the materials we cannot just say we want cheap materials. We should also have materials that are that we think of the lifespan, the lifetime cost of maintenance. I just want to say something, and that's what I'll use to cue Lady Builder in. She has said she's going to drag me, so I'm just going to be careful so that she doesn't drag me too much. But I just want to ask, now speaking of these materials, do you consider it a possibility that, okay, a house can cost, let us say 25 million naira, where you have a basic plan? This is just my theory. A basic plan where there is no tile, we only tile the living room and the kitchen. For example, you tile the living room, kitchen, and toilet, of course, wet areas. You tile the living room, toilet, and kitchen, or look for and then you use the SPC or vinyl flooring, which in the bedrooms, which of course, you know that if you ever need to change the thing, after 2 years, you can change it. Which means if I am a tenant in your house, I know that my living room and the public areas are tiled. That has durability. But once you enter my bedrooms and such, the bedrooms obviously, you can then have cheaper materials that, Mr. A doesn't like it. When he rents the house, he changes it. He knows that the material he's using will not be durable in the first place beyond 2 years. So he's not going to fight the landlord that, I tiled your house. Because you know this thing happens. People upgrade houses in Nigeria and the landlord will chase them out that, you have upgraded the house. It's time for me to collect new tenant. They change the ceiling to POP and the landlord brings in somebody else. So I just like to have you answer that question, and then you can drag me after that. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. I'm not going to drag you. I'm not going to drag you on here. I said I was going to drag you, like we are going to get dragged.
Privately.
Like
That is even way
yes,
to
because we need to talk about a lot of things you said. Yeah, privately.
Okay, no
because
problem.
we need to go back and forth. So your question was, I didn't really understand, but you said,
Okay, yeah. Let me just go over again. So you have a
okay,
2-bedroom flat. Hypothetically, you have a 2-bedroom flat. You
yeah,
tile you tile the living room, you tile the kitchen, because obviously
yeah,
kitchen and toilet wet areas, you tile those ones. We understand that. But your bedrooms, instead of tiling them, you now say, let us put this vinyl flooring, which is cheaper. We know it will spoil in 2 years. Everybody knows
yeah.
it will spoil in 2 years, but we know that is cheaper. So the person doesn't have to break the bank immediately. He can afford the house, move into the house. That's as a buyer. So in future, he can choose to change it when he has money. It will no longer. It's not that we have raised the barrier of pricing. That's number one. Number two, can you do it as a tenant too, where as a landlord, meaning every 2 years or every 1 year, when the tenants leave, they can change their SPC flooring. Nobody is going to fight that. They renovated your house for you. We made your house fine, and you chased us. So you can. I hope that helps you to understand it.
So, like what I understand, I'm going to simplify it. What me I understand is that why will I decide to do the flooring you said we have to do in the areas that they are not common areas, right? So in 2 years I will now change it. In that 2 years, inflations will have come up. When I was meant to buy the tiles I bought in the living room and the kitchen, that was figure of maybe 5,000. So by the time I decide that, I don't want to be doing this every two years, I want to just go and buy that tiles. The tiles I bought 5,000 in that year is now 10,000. Please, whose pocket is tearing? It's my pocket. See, the truth of the matter is that we need to look at the maintenance culture in life. Let me go to you. My father's house, right? Let me even go there, that route. My father's house, he built it how would I say, even before I was born. And I don't think I want to tell anybody my age. He built it before I was born and it was tiled, right? If we want to renovate, what we're renovating is painting. The tiles is still there. I'm not renovating it. The tiles is a more common color. People that have been renting it will come in and blend with whatever. If they want to paint blue as the wall, they are painting blue as the wall. If they want to paint red, they are painting red because the tiles is common, like it's a common thing that goes with every color. I won't want to advise anybody to do anything that at the end of the day, they know within their mind, even laminated floor, you know within your mind in the next 2 years, you have to maybe change some because the climate we have kind of shifts these laminated floors. You see them swelling up, you see them shifting. So there's no way I would tell anybody with 2 bedroom and say, you know what, just start the common area, the ones people are not seeing, put it there later when you now decide that you want to move out, let me rent it. The person that will come will now say, okay, we'll now do whatever you want to that house. And maybe the person decide that it's rug you want to do. It comes with rug because you just want to cover the ugly tiles that you have put. That's why I tell people, when you are like us, let me even say like us, whenever we are building, we paint white. We don't paint color. Everything white. So whoever is buying is not going to spend so much because once you are painting any color on white, you are not going to be having like 3 coats with all the paints we have now that you will now be painting 3 times or 2 times or 5 times. Is white. When you want to choose your tiles, we choose a tile that once it blends with any color, which is safer for a lot of people. I won't advise anybody to go cheaper when at the end of the day, the maintenance culture is going. That's why a lot of people don't maintain their houses. You will see a lot of people when you are renting, the house is already falling apart. They don't want to maintain it because maintenance culture in Nigeria is zero. My father's house, like I'm using to say, is that whenever we go in there, whenever we want to maintain it, all we have to do is painting. I'm telling you the truth. Nothing has to do with the tiling. Everybody that has lived there for the past 7-10 years has never even put rug, has never even decided to do a rubber flooring, has never decided, because that is very advisable when you are building, is go safe, not go cheaper. Be safe. Because maintenance in Nigeria and the inflation will eat up to what that means in the next 2 years when you are collecting rents. You are already thinking that no matter what, you have to take out of that money to renovate. That's why I tell people when you are doing plumbing, do it right. It's once, do it right. When you are doing electrical fittings, do it right. Because that's another thing again that eats to people's renting costs. When you are doing electric, see, it's not all these fancy ones. Don't go for all these fancy ones, which is the truth. The normal ones we do. And let me tell you that Nigerian tiles are fantastic now. I don't want to call names. I will beat my chest. They are better than the Spanish. I can beat my chest and tell you. If anybody wants to know the names of tiles, they are heavier. Their durability, I can vouch for it because when people come, they were like, "Are you sure this Nigerian tiles?" Even to the extent of even toilet fittings, there are Nigerian that are doing it.
The company in Lagos Ibadan, on Lagos Ibadan Expressway.
Yes, they are doing fantastic. They are doing nice
I
things.
always tell our customers they must. I say if you want tiles, just go for that company.
I'm telling you, I went there. I went to their factory. I was amazed. There was a house we rented. I didn't even know the toilet fitting came from them. And you see, we've been using it. Oh, to the extent that when the plumber came and said, we have to do it, the plumber just did something. We didn't have to buy anything. The only thing that brought it out was the name. The name was pasted on the thing. So you will know it's from them. But It's still till now. It has not rusted, it has not broken. It has see, we need to start looking inward and stop looking outward. Because you are thinking that building materials is the major factor. No. See, we can actually develop ourselves to make things better. When we are talking about this roofing, most of them are produced here. Now, because let me tell you why Nigerian tiles now is now coming out, because all those importers are tired of importing. Importation is really giving them so much headache. So Nigerian tiles are doing, it's not all those salt and pepper. I don't know if you know, anybody knows salt and pepper. There was a tiles we used to call salt and pepper. It had three colors: beige, black, and white. We call it salt and pepper. I'm not talking of that. So let's go safer and not cheaper.
Okay, sorry, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question. If I don't know, I mean, let's say someone is working in a man and his wife. They are working
Yeah.
in GT Bank. Husband is in GT Bank.
Uh,
Wife is in one construction company. Household income 600 to 800 to 1 million naira.
yeah.
Want to build an affordable home for them. What is your
Yes.
solution as a developer? I'm not saying your solution as their
Yeah.
personal architect for their personal house,
No, no,
but you're
no.
building a block of flats. What is your solution? What is
See,
your
I'm like,
yeah,
I'm so
save
happy.
cost?
I'm so happy you asked me this question. I had a family, a husband and wife. They were tired of renting. Do you understand? The safer solution for them is that I always tell people, when you want to build, don't wait to have the bulk money. It's not, I don't have somebody right now that we've done foundation, we are waiting for him to, we're waiting for him to refill so we can continue. And I'm not talking about something like 5 years. So I've had a family, that same place you said you want to do something, I've forgotten the name now, that you said in your last I joined, that area.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, that area, they got a place. The husband actually then used to work with, I think, one of the communication, and the wife was working in a bank. So I
So
received funds from
that's
the
a
two
middle
of
class
them.
home by Nigerian standards.
Yes, I received funds from the two of them. They actually planned, they call it project management. That's why it's very important that it's not about the professionals that are on the site. You have to manage your projects. I tell people that, see, when we want something now, if I say I want to eat shawarma now, I will leave my house. I've gotten home, I will leave my house, and the shawarma is not cheap. So the problem is that project management, when you are determined that you want to own your home, I'm talking of people that are determined though. I'm not talking of the people that decide that, maybe or maybe not. No, they were ready to start planning for their life and the future of their children. They were tired of thinking whether to pay rent or pay school fees the next year. So what they did is that they made a plan between the husband and the wife. This month, it was the wife that was taking out from her own account. Next month, it was the husband that was taking. At a time when we want to do major roles, which were all the deckings, foundation, decking, roof, when we want to do that, they come together. It's project management. And that is the truth. People need to manage. We don't know how to manage. That is why from Monday to Sunday, go to any club, everywhere is filled up. Everywhere is, we don't manage ourselves. We see one money now, we decide, I always tell people, car is not an achievement. It breaks your bank and it breaks your back. It is not. You can't be staying in, you can't have, like I said, I told my people that there's somebody that I know, is a lawyer. He has so many houses in Banana, but he stays in Aja. His own houses he rented, but he stays in Aja. You need to manage your projects. Project management is very key. And let me tell you why. Every building has stage by stage that you build. There is a stage you have to build, you wait. Even when it comes to documentation, it is stage by stage, they come for stage certification. When you do your foundation, which takes a lot of your back, you do it, then you can rest because you are receiving salary. It's not about the clothes, it's not about the bags, it's not about the jewelries. Because I know somebody in Bagada, he has 12 5 bedrooms, and it's through project management. The guy is enjoying now. All the jewelries he could not buy, he's buying them now. You manage your projects stage by stage. You can buy blocks doesn't destroy, iron rod doesn't destroy. Let me tell you, we bought iron when it was 500 and something. Now iron is 1 million plus. Please, who is enjoying now? The person that bought the iron 500. There are things you need to buy. I'm even going to talk about another one, Sumo. There's one product that you can use for decking, that you can use it multiple times. So it's not about going cheap, it's about being safe. If I can use this product several times to cast and save money, and it's so expensive, I will use it rather than go and buy the cheaper one. I will do my foundation, I will rest. There's nobody that makes fun of you if you know your life, you know the future. If you want to do something now, you do your foundation, you rest. They rested, the husband and wife. They came together, the wife brought block, first floor. When it was decking, they came together. They did it. When it came together, they went to block work. So there are people that actually do this thing. When you see people build their houses, you see, I've built my house. It's not one bulk money they have. You have to manage your project. It's project management. And you need somebody to do that. Because if you are buying your blocks, you are buying your higher, because those are the things that eat into your money. Let me tell you, the tiles we will use for 5 buildings, we've bought it since 2021. Tiles, I'm telling you, tiles we want to use for projects, 5 of our projects or 5 bedroom luxury apartments, we've bought it since 2021.
Sorry to interrupt you, but
Yes.
it's like you are still talking about people. I know you started, but you have not yet talked about the person. You have not yet, how do I put it? The person that wants to buy a house. Let me simplify it. A person that wants to buy a house.
Yes.
Because how do I as a developer, I'm not talking about the person that, so I get what you're saying about building houses. Many of us, our parents who have houses, that's how they built. They started small, so many houses took 10 years. And that's, even to me, is a problem. As an architect, I see it as a problem because your house begins to, a lot of components deteriorate faster, but I don't want us to
10
get
years.
to that.
I never said 10 years. I said
No,
they
I'm
build
just
under a
saying.
year. The couples they build under a year,
The
yes.
person that built under a year, it means he has savings.
They do
But
have
don't worry, I'm
savings.
not going.
Oh,
I'm not
the
going. No,
savings.
no,
So
I don't want to.
I can tell you, I
I
can
don't
beat
want
my
to.
chest.
I don't want to
They didn't
argue.
have
I want to give.
savings. They
I don't want
didn't
to
have
argue, man.
savings.
I want to just ask a more
There was no
specific.
savings.
Yes. So what I want to say is, what do you? So maybe I should take the question in a different manner.
Oh,
What do
yeah.
you think Lagos State government has done to achieve cheaper houses that public developers have not done? Maybe I should ask it in that manner. That
Well,
our popular developers, I'm not going to mention any names. What do you think Lagos State has done that? I mean, we know they end up dividing the houses among people, but when they do build the houses, the few people that get it, I know someone that got Lagos homes in Igbobo for around 12 or 13 million naira as at 2019, which is really affordable. So and they have some, Lagos homes all over the city from Fashola's time and all of that. So what I want to ask is, what do you advise a developer or a development company to do to meet up the standards of Lagos State? The developer doesn't have cheap land, so that is out of it already. The developer is buying expensive land. And how does he end up not having a house that is costing? Because if you say 80 million, how many people can afford 80 million? Even your couple working in telecoms company and shipping company, they may not be able to afford that in 3 years. So how many people how can we get houses to 40 million in your flat, for example, to 30 to 40 million, which is closer to affordable? How do you approach that in your own experience?
In
Yeah, someone
Nigeria,
is even saying even that 40
in
million naira is
Nigeria,
quite
in
difficult.
Nigeria,
I really, yes,
in
because we really
Nigeria,
need to crack
in
that thing.
Nigeria, with the
Yes,
present
go ahead.
government, is impossible. It's plain and simple, I'm telling you. In Nigeria, with our present, I'm telling you, over, it is impossible. It is impossible. See, let me tell you, we as stakeholders, what are we doing?
Yeah, that's why we're asking this question, so that
We are
because
not doing
I
anything
personally I
because,
don't believe in impossibility,
yeah,
but
because they've called for a
how
lot
do
of
we break it?
meetings. See, number one, the old documentation you have to even achieve self to build, that one self will first put you aside. But are we as stakeholders? Government calls for meetings. They call for a lot of meetings though, for this building construction. See, the major people that say they build in Lagos and they are making housing for Lagos, they are not there. Oh. They even, let me tell you what they do, government do, Lagos state government do. They will have a desk. They have officers that sit in front of their office. They call them, so stakeholders come. If you know that you don't want to speak on that day, they will tell you, come and drop letter, split it under the table. Nobody complains. Oh. There's nobody. See, in Nigeria, we don't fight for ourselves. We are not fighting for ourselves. See, let me tell you something. If a developer comes now and say, let them pay this social amount, let me even shock you. In Banana of recent, they came to close a whole lot of stretch of buildings. They told them they have to pay this amount of money. They paid. You understand? In less than 1 week, another agency came, closed them up. They told them they have to pay some amount. What protest? Have you ever seen any protest? Let me tell you something. When Lateef
Protest
Jakande,
against government agency.
now there well day now. We will continue keeping quiet because I am furious about this. When Lateef Jakande, you understand, there was housing. A lot of it. Even now, a lot of it they're already gone because maintenance was zero.
Yes.
So I'm telling you is that it's not possible. I'm saying it because we are not talking. We are keeping quiet. They give us one fee to pay. We pay it. Tomorrow they come up with another fee. We pay it. Next tomorrow they tell you, why will I buy my house and pay heavy document and still be doing land use charge? Please tell me that. Why am I still paying for the land I have paid fully and is my name? I've paid everything. Why am I paying land use charge? We are not talking. So it cannot happen until we talk. And there are so many things we have to talk about. Government say they must not do more than 1 year. They still do more than 1 year in rent. They say a tenant has voice, not before Nigeria. So the truth of the matter I want you to ask yourself is that we, as these developers, what have we done?
What have we done?
What
I
have
think
we done?
we'll continue this conversation in camera. There are some things that you've pointed out that I know we even made a video about it, and I will say it now so you heard it here first. I'm going to make a video on civil servants that are hindering the progress. So she has talked about it, and we'll talk about it because I as fast as Lagos
If you
approval,
do civil servant, I will bash you because the truth of the matter is that what do you want them to do? We'll
talk about the perspectives. There are different perspectives to it. Of course, everybody is loyal to their Oga, but you also need to then
it's
talk
good
about.
They say government is for the people.
Yeah. So, but I think we'll talk about this. The people are the people in power, not the followers. but But thank you very much. I will
Yeah.
definitely make sure we have this conversation, and then we'll. But we need to talk about these things, especially that
But
agency
I
thing.
just want to say one last thing. We,
Yes, go on.
as developers, builders, manufacturers, professionals, we need to do better. I think we need to come up because we need to do better. We need to do a lot of things. See, any country you see that they have cheap housing, go and checkmate them. Go and see what they've done to achieve that. Nigerians, we no wan help ourselves. That's it.
They say in Yoruba, Oronla. Oronla. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Mr. Liam
Yeah.
Abodunrin said Lagos has more than 5 agencies. Sir, thank God you said more than 5
It's more than
agencies.
five.
Lagos State
It's more than
is
five.
more than,
Let me
it's
tell you,
almost
Loma now.
almost
Loma.
15.
That one is even Loma. Loma. When you are building, you have to pay.
If we start, we will not finish. Loma
Okay.
has no business with construction. Last
They
part,
know. They will tell you
the
where are you
parking
dumping your
authority.
construction waste. Where are you dumping your construction waste? That is
What
where
about
they
the
use to
guys,
enter
the
us.
parking guys? What do they call that agency? Parking agency. They also come. That
I beg
agency
leave
that
that
is.
one. So let's just parking agency. That one is
Let's
even
not.
out of it. Let's
Let's
not
not
even
even
enter
enter
that
the
one.
topic. Let's not enter the topic so that we will not. But for me, that's why I think for now, if you want to do affordable housing, let's just start with Ogun
And let
and
me
other
tell you
states. When
something.
Lagos is
We
ready,
are
we will all come
honoring,
back
we
to
are
Lagos.
honoring all these things. We are as they are giving us, we are taking it. As they are giving us, we are taking it.
There's no
Nobody saying
pushback.
anything. So let's
There has to be
Nigeria.
pushback at some point.
We don't want to help ourselves. We
Thank
frustrate
you very much.
ourselves.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mr. Rainy Day Cooperative, like we said, is our partner for our housing project. We are looking for how to make houses affordable. We know, like everybody has said,
We will come and meet you in the
arduous
Ogun
task.
State and Ibadan. Don't worry, King.
Yes,
We are
yes.
coming to meet
At
you in
least
that
we,
Ogun State and Ibadan. I will make it.
yes, because for us, at least we've cut the cost by reducing the price of land. So we're not buying 50 million land. So at least we've reduced that. But like you've rightly said, there is still a lot. It's not just about materials, because you don't want to use materials that will make the house cheap overall. We don't want cheap. We want quality that is affordable. So Rainy Day is our partner, and we will definitely, as you've said now, we'll make it our point of call. Next week we'll be talking about agencies. We'll be talking about government agencies and their role in all of these. But I'd like our the president of the Rainy Day Cooperative Society, who is also spearheading the conversation with a couple of cooperative societies and other organizations. So we're looking at a number of organizations and quite a large amount of land. Of course, we'll be unveiling it in phases, because we really want affordable houses. And like you've all told us now, it is not about cheap houses, it's about quality houses that will last. So we are taking all of this feedback, and then when the project is launched, as you are all listening, please keep your money aside and let us work together, because we really have to crack this code. We cannot be selling houses for 100 million. Some people will never own homes in their lives if we continue at this rate. And like our sister said, it is practically impossible in Lagos. I totally agree. But let's see to what extent we can try. I know it is hard, but we can try, even if it's just a little bit, to bring down the cost. And that's why we called it Owning Your $20,000 Home in 2025. So, Mr. The Rainy Day Cooperative Society president, you can check Rainy Day Cooperative. All of the names are there. All of the faces are there. You are welcome, Mr. President. Please go on and speak.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start by thanking everyone who has spoken tonight. It's been an engaging conversation, and it's not for the lack of what to do on a Friday night. You could be cuddling your bed or gisting with your family, but you are here, you are voicing out and sharing your ideas. Thank you so much to our brother from South Africa, Mr. Infumeni, and our militant lady builder. It's unfortunate, and it's also fortunate that we have come to this point as a nation where we just chest everything and we just manage it like that. And the more we manage, the more things get the way they are. So we are going to have this conversation that you said. We are not afraid of having difficult conversations. and we are going to have these difficult conversations about how government agencies are not making life easy. Because when we start to have these conversations, then we can begin to point out these issues and escalate these issues to the right authorities. For us at Rainy Day, one of the things that we are doing is to leverage on community. How do I mean? A cooperative by nature is a tax efficient way of doing anything you want to do as long as it's legitimate. So we are looking at a situation where we work with other cooperatives who have members. Some of those members, they've saved millions and millions of naira, but like the lady builder said, it is one thing to have the money, it is another thing to have the project management ability to be able to turn that money into a building, and then a solid building at that. So we are continuing to have these conversations with them and online, so that it is not just for certain kinds of people. So if somebody is listening to us from London today, somebody who is listening to us from Ikorodu or anywhere, they can say, oh, I like what these guys are doing, I will follow up with them to key into this project, as long as they have a legitimate source of income and they can match the obligations for the project. Because we are going to do this off plan. We, like Lady Vida said, let's not confuse ourselves with mortgage. Mortgage is a luxury in Nigeria. It is available, but it is not necessarily accessible. So let's start with off-plan development. That's our own approach. And we are going to be doing off-plan because we want to cut the financing component away. When people raise money, if somebody gives me 1 billion to build your house today, the person is going to demand at least 35% if they are very nice and they like my face and they know my parents before. I mean, they knew my mother before my mother passed. They'll say, this guy is a good son. Let's collect 35% from him. But most people are raising money at 50% a year interest rate. So you have a situation where we need to all come together, build institutional framework, which is why we are using the cooperative system, because there's a lot of oversight against conventional companies. Number two, we as cooperatives, there's accountability and governance. One person cannot be president forever, and housing is not a 1 year problem. So one person is not general secretary forever. You also have to do audits and stuff. Yesterday we sent in our annual report at Rainy Day to the Lagos State government. A conventional company can decide not to do that regularly in Nigeria. So by coming together, we are able to leverage on economies of scale and then jointly leverage on each other's experience to project manage the development. That way, if you need to buy from the tile companies, for example, instead of you buying for just 2-bedroom flats, you buy tiles for 100 units of 2-bedroom flats. There's no way they will not look at you and give you some discount and give you some sort of rebate that, okay, pay this now, you can come back and pay this, and then you pick up your tiles, will supply you, they will draw up some kind of concession for you because you are doing so many units and so many square meters of tiles. That's your style. Same thing for glass, same thing for cement and all of that. So all of these savings, especially because we are not going to be paying tax as a cooperative, we are going to then pass it down to the finished price of the building. So we are particular about using the cooperative system because of the savings it allows. You want a 2-bed, you want a 2-bed, 98 other people want 2 bedrooms. Instead of everybody building it one by one and paying Baba Fatai to go and be 100 Baba Fatais or 50 Baba Fatais to go and be cutting the wood one by one, why not, because of our own reach, make the negotiation on the wardrobes at once, buy the wood at once, cut it at once, or maybe in 2-3 batches if all the funds don't come in at once. When you cut it at once, you are going to have uniform outputs. Then you can begin to do installation in batches. Those are ways by which you can reduce the total production cost of the project. And that's why we are big on the cooperative approach, because we have seen our parents buy land together. Some of them built small houses outside Lagos together. We cannot try to reinvent the wheel because we are trying to be smart. So for me, I am encouraging everyone here please stay tuned. We are working on the back end of it. We cannot tell you what we have not gotten sufficient compliance and verification for. Why we have not mentioned it to you is because we are doing our own background check. The place is available. The places that we have found are, they are not going anywhere. So we'll be happy to have everybody aboard. And these are the measures, practical measures that we are using to reduce the completion cost of these buildings. And because cooperatives too are transparent institutions, you can then say, oh, this is how much it took us to complete this building. It's not my personal business, so I can't say, okay, I won't disclose how much it is. Anybody who is a member and is a subscriber would have access to these details. So that way you are not funding the house and at the same time funding developers Range Rover, because developers now, some of them, they even carry mopo all around. The money for the mopo will come from somewhere, from your development that it will come from. So that is, so if somebody said this is a good idea for your cooperative society, yes, we have some cooperative societies that are reaching out to us to partner with us because of the unique experience we have. So in our own cooperative society, we have lawyers, we have accountants, we have engineers and stuff, all sorts of capabilities in our cooperative that other cooperatives are now cooperating with us. There's something they call cooperation among cooperators. There are some people that they are good, maybe they are good military officers. We thank them for their sacrifice for Nigeria, but they are not good builders, and neither are they good project managers for construction. People like that are reaching out to us to say, when you start building, as long as the price makes sense and a QS can independently verify that this cost is not outrageous, we prefer that you build for us, we just offtake, and our members are happy. So even cooperative societies in Lagos, I can't begin to mention them now for privacy's sake, but many of them are saying, we have the money, our members are saving, but we don't have the expertise, let us work with you. That way you are able to do more units and spread the management, like Lady Bida said, the project management cost on that volume of units that you are doing, and that way everybody gets to enjoy the advantage at the end of the day. So we will continue to update you on the decisions that are being made and the findings that we have, and as soon as we have something concrete on the locations that we are looking at, we'll definitely update you. But I promise you, next week Friday, please everybody go and tighten your belts. We are going to have this conversation about Lagos agencies and agencies everywhere, because I know it's not just Lagos. Government agencies, what they have done in your own state or what they are doing in your own state to affect construction. Let's have that conversation with you next week Friday. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, so thank you very much, everyone. We'll be wrapping up. If you have any final
Yes, before you
questions.
round up, sorry.
Okay.
You call
Yeah.
me militant now, so I will behave like militant. Anyway, so I want to say something.
All
I'm
right. Go
saying
ahead.
cooperative collects, cooperative, got acres. You people can see now that they are not giving information because they want to do their documentation rights. See, I always appreciate people that say they want to do something, their documentation is not out and they don't want to say anything yet. It's not where people will say, I want to sell, and their documentation is not right. It is very, very important. It's not all estate people investing. I told you that day when I heard about it, I said, I appreciate the fact that you people want to cross all your T's before you won't say anything. Even the next week, you're now saying next week, we'll give you details. Some people will
No.
not get their documentation right, but they will start selling the land. So it's not every place you see people that has houses. I appreciate it. And that is why this Friday I decided to join, because I appreciate people that do their due diligence when it comes to housing. So rainy day corporations, that inspector, I appreciate the fact that you people are not disclosing anything yet because you want your documentation to clear out. Knowing that you will raise your shoulder and say, oh yes, every documentation when it comes to owning this, doing this, is cleared.
Exactly.
So I
Exactly.
appreciate that. I
Thank
appreciate
you
that.
very much.
So please, people out there, it's not everybody, every day can you see where they put big board, you think it's okay because you see big board and celebrity. Please, I beg you. You see that they have the project in mind. They've not gone and put big board. They want to do their documentation right. So I appreciate it. I
If I
appreciate
put
that.
billboard, I don't want anybody to drag me. They will drag they will drag me like generator. I'll be like a faulty I pass my neighbor now, so they go drag person.
See, it doesn't happen in
Yeah.
Nigeria where people say they want to sell, they have this idea. They are already selling the idea before they do everything under the
No,
Nokia.
no, no,
So
that
that's
would be
it.
substandard. Thank you very much,
Yes.
man.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So we are grateful to everyone for joining. Keolua, you joined a bit late, but I'll be putting the video on YouTube like I did last week, and so you can just listen in on the part you didn't listen to, and we'll be happy to have these conversations via DM. Some of you have our numbers, both our public number and my private number. Some of you already have it anyway, so we can have this conversation continue. We learn from each other. We've learned a lot today already, significantly, because we had a number of things that we discussed last week, and we're already doing some numbers on them. So we're really happy that you have all put your given us significant input. As for the land seized by Wike, yes, you are very correct. And oh yeah, as for the land seized by Wike, well, congratulations to everybody involved, is what I'll say. All right, so to many, thank you very much for joining. Lady Builder, I really appreciate you. I appreciate you for your time. Mrs. O, I don't know if she's still here, but you were here from the beginning. Thank you very much. I think she has left for other things now. Mrs. O Ikeolua joined us a bit late, but she has also been helpful. Rainy Day Cooperative Society, thank you. King Eniobanke, Ditosi, you said it's your first time and you stayed from the beginning till the end. Nonso Obar, sorry, I can't pronounce all the names. Frontman, Mr. Gbenga, Bonnet Haven, thank you very much. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. We will continue next Friday. God bless you all.